On a day meant to honor those who have fought and served our country in the armed forces, President Trump paid a visit to Arlington National Cemetery. Good evening, I'm Samantha Coomer.
And I'm Jim Rake. Thanks for joining us. The president honored the sacrifices of our fallen heroes today by laying a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. NBC's Edward Lawrence reports.
On this Memorial Day, President Donald Trump honored those who served and made the ultimate sacrifice for this country, laying a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier.
We pay tribute to those brave souls who raced into gunfire, roared into battle, and ran into hell to face down evil.
He thanked Gold Star families for their sacrifice.
We can never replace them. We can never repay them. But we can always remember.
As the commander-in-chief marked Memorial Day, America's greatest modern adversaries still nag the White House. President Trump defended his advisor and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, for trying to set up back-channel communications to the Russians before he took office, according to the Washington Post. The president telling the New York Times, quote, "I have total confidence in him." Senator John McCain, while in Australia, said today he doesn't like the idea of a secret communications channel with the Russians.
Some administration officials are saying, well, that's standard procedure. I don't think it's standard procedure prior to the inauguration of a president of the United States by someone who is not in an appointed position.
Meanwhile, the president warned North Korea against further aggression, tweeting North Korea has shown great disrespect for their neighbor, China, by shooting off yet another ballistic missile. The country's leader watched the test launch of his third missile in as many weeks.
The Trump administration has been trying to get China and Russia to put more pressure on North Korea. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis said North Korea poses a direct threat to the U.S. and other countries in Asia.
Memorial Day is about more than just enjoying the weather and grilling some burgers. Some mid-Missourians took advantage of that by honoring today's holiday with a look at the past. I got the chance to see how hundreds of local residents spent the day honoring the people who helped shape Columbia. From gravesite to gravesite, hundreds visited and listened to stories of the past.
A lot of these names are familiar because of the school and the town and all that, so it's a great history lesson.
A prominent female suffragist, the father of MU, a state geologist. Actors brought 9 Columbia figures back to life through monologues.
It gave me an opportunity to sort of just really take seriously the impact of this life.
And with the stories came the memories.
I overheard right before I began someone standing behind me, and she was saying that they lived next door to his home.
In remembering, the community honored its path to its present.
Well, it does remind you of the sacrifices that are our history.
From soldiers to professors to postmistresses, those at the event took a moment to reflect on those who had helped shape the city.
I think it's just a great way to let people know that history can come alive.
Samantha Coomer, KOMU 8 News. About 1,000 people showed up at today's performance, and now while the founding group is not positive that the same event will take place next year, they hinted at much more history to share.
Mid-Missourians gathered downtown to remember and celebrate our veterans at the Salute to Veterans Parade. It starts each year at the corner of Broadway and College, making its way downtown until reaching Columbia College. It featured an air show by the U.S. Army Black Daggers and the Canadian Sky Hawks. This was the biggest parade in the 29 years of the event.
We had 72 entries this year, which was the largest parade we've ever had. Last year was 67, so we continue to grow each year, and we look forward to be even larger next year.
Parade goers told us there were several reasons for attending: for family members, friends, and above all, thank those who served or continue to serve our country.
2 miles, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 squats. Sounds more like a long day at the gym than Memorial Day festivities, but that's exactly how many Columbia residents spent their morning today. The Murphs Challenge is a CrossFit event held at gyms all over America to honor our fallen soldiers. All proceeds go to Lieutenant Michael P. Murray Memorial Scholarship Foundation. Michael Murphy died in combat with his Navy SEAL team in 2005. His family started the organization to honor him after his death. The Murph Challenge was created so participants get a small taste of what Navy SEALs go through.
Part of the CrossFit community, this is a huge event that we do every single year. This is actually my first year participating, and it's a challenging event, so for me it was a test to see if I could do it or not.
To learn more about the life and deployment of Michael Murphy, visit our website at KOMU.com.
The Columbia Police Department hopes to prevent sexual assaults by joining the You Have Options program. The goal is to change the way law enforcement responds and investigates sexual violence by giving more control to the victim. The victim is able to choose whether the suspect is arrested and who is contacted during the investigation. Annabelle Ludwig says this improves the investigation process.
Through those empathetic getting to know me over the course of multiple questioning experiences, I think that in the end it produces a healthier investigation, not only for the victim, and it makes it easier for us, but in the end it makes it easier on their end as well, because they're getting the information that they need in a more effective way.
Columbia Police hope to start the program later this year. A 53-year-old St. Louis man drowned this morning at the Lake of the Ozarks. According to the Highway Patrol, a family member found the man face down near a dock in the Big Niangua Arm. The drowning is the second of the month and the third of the year in Troop F. Emergency crews also airlifted a 24-year-old woman to the hospital after two boats collided at the lake last night. It happened near mile marker 19. Two others were also taken to the hospital.
An investigation is underway after a deputy shot and killed a suspect shoplifter at a Walmart in a town south of Kansas City. Police say the deputy was working off-duty at the Walmart Sunday night. She tried to stop the man as he left the store. They struggled and the suspect grabbed her taser. According to the police, the deputy then pulled her weapon and shot the man. Both the deputy and the suspect were taken to the hospital, where the suspect later died.
Missouri Renewable Energy is part of the new Bloomfield Evangelical Center. Today it hosted a fair showing how generating energy might actually generate carcinogens. Thomas Day was there. He has spent the past 7 years finding ways to generate clean energy.
And the reason for that is that we've got to come up with a way to knock down these cancer numbers that are killing our dogs and cats and people and kids and everything else. And so that's what we're working on.
The center works with 15 men who used to be homeless and are now dedicating their lives to creating renewable energy.
We had a nice sunny Memorial Day, but there might be storms ahead. Let's send it over to Megan to find out what we can expect.
Megan, thank you very much. A heated debate in the Texas Capitol became more than just verbal.
Plus, Portland is coming together to keep any support for hate speech out of the city following a deadly attack.
Russian President Vladimir Putin takes his first trip to France.
But he had a not-so-friendly welcome. That's coming up after the...
A tense day at the state capitol in Texas concluded with a fight between lawmakers, and it was caught on video. The lawmakers involved accused each other of assault and threatening each other's lives. It reportedly began when a Republican lawmaker said he called immigration authorities. This after Capitol visitors were protesting a recently passed bill against sanctuary cities. That comment angered Hispanic lawmakers standing nearby, which led to a lot of pushing and a lot of shoving.
The Portland, Oregon mayor says the community is still in shock and mourning today after a triple stabbing Friday that left two men dead. Witnesses say the men defended two Muslim women on a train who were targets of another man's hate speech. Mayor Ted Wheeler is trying to stop a protest by members of so-called alt-right organizations. He said the city will not issue any permits.
This divisiveness and this hatred and this bigotry that seems to be crossing our country like a wave, it's gone too far. And these three guys stood up on a train in Portland, Oregon, and pushed back against the wave.
Mayor Wheeler says the men are heroes. He wants to work with the families of the victims to create a permanent memorial to honor their sacrifice.
Police raids continue in Manchester, now marking 1 week since the suicide bombing that killed 22 people. Police arrested another man today, bringing the total 16 arrests with 14 men in custody. There are also new reports by the British media suggesting that MI5, the domestic intelligence agency, had been tipped off about the bomber. MI5 is opening its own internal review to see if any sorts of warning signs were missed. The future of global efforts to address climate change could be in jeopardy following the G7 summit over the weekend. That's according to German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who said today it was not right to gloss over differences with the U.S. She also said allies could no longer be relied on. During the summit, President Trump refused to endorse the Paris Climate Agreement, saying he needs more time to decide.
Newly elected French President Emmanuel Macron welcomed Russian President Vladimir Putin to France for their first meeting. Both leaders say they agreed to work together on fighting terrorism, particularly ISIS and the use of chemical weapons in Syria. Macron said he and Putin also spoke about LGBTQ rights in Chechnya, to which Putin vowed to be vigilant in addressing. Just before Macron spoke with Putin today, activists in Paris demonstrated against the persecution of homosexuals in Chechnya. Protesters held up a banner that said, "Stop homophobia in Chechnya," at a square in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Back in the States, Tiger Woods is now saying he had an unexpected reaction to a prescription medicine which led to his arrest on a DUI charge early this morning. Woods spent nearly 4 hours in the Palm Beach County Jail. He says alcohol was not involved and that he didn't realize the mix of his medications would affect him that strongly. The Royals and the Tigers are going to get very familiar with each other.
Find out why, well, you'll be seeing a lot of this matchup throughout the summer. Next in sports.
Penguins leading 3-1. That's sports.
Ben, thank you very much. A book of memories almost 80 years old finds its way home.
How one family was able to reconnect with a late relative. Thanks to a persistent Tennessee librarian, a World War II scrapbook found its way back into the hands of the family. The 1940 scrapbook held letters and pictures kept by a father whose son was headed overseas to fight in the war. The librarian who found the scrapbook after it was anonymously dropped off in the library tracked the family down for months, who then came all the way from West Virginia to retrieve it.
Coming up on KOMU 8 News at 10, today would have been a very big birthday for JFK, how Americans remember him today.
And 1 week after the suicidal bomber killed 22 in Manchester, England, the community is still mourning the victims.
If you're headed out for a run tomorrow morning, it will be fairly comfortable with temperatures at 55 degrees, and it will be sunny as sunrise is at 5:47 tomorrow. Over the next couple of days, very seasonable temperatures overall right around the 80-degree mark, but we do have chances for rain on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
The hockey score is
3-1.
All right. Hopefully we'll be on right at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.